Once you understand the foundations of cooking, you don't really need a cookbook anymore. Thomas Keller. The best game masters understand that the ability to improvise during a session is one of the most valuable skills that you can have as a GM. What do you do when the players move in a direction or do something that you didn't expect? But the problem is, nobody teaches you how to improvise. It's kind of one of those things that you have to figure out and stumble through until you find out what works best for you. And that's made even more difficult because a lot of the advice out there on improvisation at the game table is approaching it from the wrong starting point. So welcome to Roll On Buddy. My name is Uriah, and I have helped hundreds of game masters just like yourself solve the problems you have at your table through simple role-playing. And by the end of this video, you are going to be more confident in your ability to improvise at the table. Or at the very least, you're not going to freak out about it so much. Now, of course, there are plenty of different approaches when it comes to improvising at the game table, but probably the most common definition that people go off of is to create and perform either drama, music, or verse spontaneously or without preparation. You know, improv. Look at virtually all of the advice out there for GM improv, and you're going to see tips like remember yes and, or don't block a person's scene, or listen to your table mates. But here's the thing. TTRPGs aren't that kind of improv. There's actually a second definition of improvise that does a much better job of explaining how improvisation works from behind the GM screen. And to better explain this concept, I took a little field trip to visit someone who is very important to me. This is my brother, Isaiah. He is a sous chef at Mumashika in downtown Chattanooga, Tennessee. Uriah, I can hear you asking, what in the heck does your brother who's a sous chef have anything to do with TTRPGs? Well, I'm glad you asked. How improvising works from behind the GM screen is a lot like how a chef will improvise a meal. The second definition of improvise is to create something from whatever is available. Imagine this. You get home from work, it's late, you're tired, you don't really want to go out, DoorDash is too expensive, so you have to make dinner from whatever's in the pantry. So you open up the fridge, maybe you got a couple eggs, some leftover rice, and some rotisserie chicken. And you're going to take those ingredients and make something out of it. When you run a game, you have all of these ingredients to choose from and to play with. You have NPCs, you have environments, towns, cities, kings, queens, villains, and monsters. That sounded very AI. And what you do is you take these ingredients and you start to mix them all together. How does the Duke react when the players reject his gesture of kindness? What does the leader of the Thieves Guild think when the players want to join their team? Are they distrusting and cautious? Are they flagrant and boisterous? What your job is to take those ingredients, the NPCs, their motivations, all the things that surround and give context to the moment, and react accordingly to those things. At the game table, you're not trying to follow a specific written recipe. There's no way because, no pun intended, there are too many cooks in the kitchen. So who better to ask for advice about improvising in a high-stakes environment than a sous chef at a fine restaurant?
Sometimes you've got to it's just everything's up in the air. There's no room for interpretation. So you've either got to make it work or plan it out. I think a lot of improv comes in during service. Ideally, in a perfect world, everything moves perfectly smoothly. But when you're in the middle of service and your oven goes down, or maybe the gas line got shut off.
I see so many beginner and even experienced game masters make this mistake where they will plan out these series of cool moments that they want to take the players through. This plot point that they have to get, almost like a egg and a spoon race, where you have to get the players to this moment, and any deviation from that is going to spell disaster for the story you have in mind. And the moment that any of the players made a free decision, the egg was on the floor and it was a mess. The mistake in that situation, and it's one that I've made for sure, is prepping with the mindset of what are they supposed to do? And because I spent so much time focusing on what I wanted the player characters to do, the moment they made a free choice, I was left scrambling, trying to figure out how to fill in the blanks and make it all make sense. Those moments where the players went in a direction that I didn't expect taught me a valuable lesson. My prep time would be much better served if I instead tried to get into the headspace of the world. The players role-play their characters. They're getting into the mindset of their characters. But I role-play the world, so I should be thinking how the world would react to this situation. Considering the motivations of the NPCs, considering the goals of the monsters, so that at any moment, with any decision that the players make, I can react accordingly in a way that feels believable. I'm not trying to stack back up the dominoes in order to make them fall properly. I'm not trying to chop up the book in order to tell the story that I wanted to tell, but instead the planning and the prep that I've done serves the world more than it serves a story that I have in my head. Now, I'm not trying to say that you shouldn't prep. What I am saying is that
when you're ready, you won't have to.
One thing I really enjoy is just going to, it sounds silly, but I'll go to Whole Foods and just like walk around and look at the food and be like, I feel like that's when my brain really starts turning. And the same can be said with like the walk-in. Like I'll walk in the walk-in and see what we have. Like seeing the things in front of me helps me visualize more when I like want to put on the plate.
Whenever I'm in a moment where I don't know what to do, I find a lot of peace in remembering that I have ingredients to pick and choose from. In my notes, I have important details that I can pull from in a moment's notice to be able to make things feel more believable. And just like how Isaiah would go to Whole Foods and look at what is available to him, you can do the same during your prep. Instead of thinking in terms of plot points or story moments, what if instead you thought of prep as going shopping? Now, not a shopping session where you're haggling over potion prices, but when you're putting together your prep notes, give yourself cool little things that you can pull from in a moment's notice. NPC secrets, connections between the NPCs, hidden desires and things that people want. You never know when something that the players do could strike a chord with a particular NPC, and voila, you already have a much more interesting dish than you could have planned out.
Most of the time there's like a groove that I get myself in. I like to call it dancing, where like I'm just no wasted movements. I know exactly where everything's at, so it's less mind work for me to like reach over here because I know the salt's right here, or the butter's over here, my oil, my water. Same thing with like plating. If I've got everything in like the same exact spot, I'm able to sit there and mindlessly just tweezer everything onto the plate or whatever.
Now, how you organize those notes all together is going to greatly determine how effective you are in a moment's notice. Now, I'm not saying you need to have the source book front and center during the session. That's not my jam. But what I am saying is that something as simple as a cheat sheet with all of your important must-know details is going to make a world of difference. Think about how a chef sets up the kitchen. Everything he needs is right there within arm's reach. And you having that concise list of important ingredients there at hand. It doesn't matter if the players go off in a direction you didn't expect. You have what you need in front of you. When
I get to work, I like to use work as like my disconnect from anything I've got going on, any mess I'm in, or if I'm having a bad day, I get in there, I'm like, oh wait, I'm back. Oh, we're just cooking, we're here, we're having fun. It's fine. I like the sense of not being so tied down to what is actually happening in front of you and being able to expand your mind outside of that and kind of go where you want with it.
Don't get so caught up in the moment that you forget to have fun too. I remember when I first started running games, I would be on 11 the entire night because I have to have everything put together in its specific way. And at the end of the session, I would be drained because I was just going full force the entire time. And those sessions, to me, weren't fun because I could never sit down and relax and enjoy the moment. I always had to be doing something. But the more I learned how to improvise, the better I got at organizing my thoughts, not prepping in a way where I'm trying to tell a story, but instead getting into the mindsets of the characters, I realized that I was having more fun. I was settling into the world and experiencing the world through the player characters. The more that you can offload those mental stresses into systems that are readily accessible, the more fun you're going to have during the session. Now, thankfully, it's not just the things that you have written down that you can pull from in a moment's notice. You live a life. You have experiences. You watch movies and TV shows and animes. You read books. You listen to music. You listen to audiobooks and podcasts. You have a library of ideas to pull from within your own mind. And in the same way that an adventurous eater knows how different ingredients taste together, you have tropes and characters and personalities to pull from in a moment's notice. Now, there are two shortcuts to improvising that I don't recommend. The first is the quantum ogre, which, if you don't know what that is, basically, regardless of the decision that the characters make, they're always going to appear at the next part of the story. Imagine you have two doors. On the left door is the final boss of the dungeon, an ogre, and on the right, you have a random room. Now, if the players go into the right door instead of the left door, the ogre is now in the right door. It's a quantum ogre. It can be in any place at any time. Why this is a bad idea is because it makes the world feel fake and convoluted. Like none of the decisions the player characters make actually have any meaning, because it doesn't matter what choice we make. The game master is just going to put the next thing in front of us. Now, it's for the exact opposite reason that I don't recommend the second shortcut, which is random tables. Now, during prep, random tables can be a helpful way to kickstart your creativity. So during your prep, that's fine, but during the session, don't use them. It makes the world feel fake and disjointed. Like any decision that the player characters make isn't going to matter because the game master didn't care enough to actually think it through beforehand. Putting in the effort to answer the important questions before the session is actually going to make the world feel believable and more realistic. And as a result, the players will feel liberated to make decisions within the world because the world is consistent and believable. All in all, I think that improvisation at the table can be summed up in this phrase. It's not about what you want it to be. Instead, it's about what it becomes. And the more that you react accordingly to the interactions that the player characters make within the world, the more realistic and believable the world is going to feel. So now, next time you're at the table and the players go in a direction you didn't expect, you have what you need to be able to react accordingly. Dude, big thank you and shout out to Mumashika in downtown Chattanooga, Tennessee for letting us film, and shout out to Isaiah for having us and serving up a bunch of delicious food. If you're ever in the downtown Chattanooga area and you want a dining experience like no other, then you need to check out Mumashika. I'll have their website in the description and you can book a reservation and go enjoy some awesome food. If you see Isaiah there, tell him that I sent you and you won't regret it. It is truly out of this world, I promise you. But that's all for me. Thank you all so much for watching. If you want to see how this kind of improvisation works from the prep side of things, then be sure to click this video where I go over 7 tips that I use whenever I prep games to make them better, faster, stronger, and all the other Daft Punk references. But I love you guys. I'll see you on the next one. Peace and God bless.
Cool.